Hear me? Can you hear me now? I pushed the mute button. I'm sorry. I'm just letting everybody get logged in. How's everybody doing? Happy Wednesday. Hopefully the puppy doesn't bother us too much today. Although, hey, don't chew on that. No. As my whole tripod flips over.
Hey, Patty, it's good to see you.
Hi, good to see you.
It's been a while. Too long.
Yes. You have any questions for me today?
I have a few. Yeah. Should I start or should I wait?
Let's go ahead and get some questions going while we're waiting for everybody to log on.
Excellent. My question is that I just gave, because of the eviction moratorium, I raised the rent 10%, but I'm severely underneath the market with the property. So the 10 new tenants have agreed to the new rent. They're on a month-to-month agreement. My question is, I want to raise the rent like an additional like 30%. When can I do that, and how much of a notice do I need to give them?
You're going to have to give them a 120-day notice legally.
Wow.
Okay. For a quick recap for anybody that's going, wait, hold on, because I got a lot of information for you. A 30-day notice is 10% or less. They took away our 60-day notice, so it's a 90-day notice for anything that's 11% to 14%, and anything that's 15% or higher requires a 120-day notice. So there's answer to question number one. Question number two, we're currently in a state of emergency, and if you raise rents over 10%, you could be guilty of price gouging during a state of emergency, which comes with a $10,000 fine and 6 months in jail. Ouch.
Will you visit me, Patty? Will you visit me?
I do not bail people out. I'm just playing. So I don't recommend increasing the rent. Remember, it affects a victim, and we don't know who's been affected and who hasn't. And the reality is we've all been affected. We've had to buy masks. We've had to wear a mask into the bank. My dad would roll over in his grave, I'm telling you. He'd be like, don't go in the bank with that mask on. You will get shot. So lots of changes going on. Remember, the word affected could be argued by both parties. And that's part of the problem that we have right now is there's no case law, none whatsoever. So everything is being heavily litigated. Just so you guys know, 98% of all cases filed in the state of California are contested. 98%. So that is throwing this huge roadblock in our court system and eating that alive. So let's go back to raising rents. If the tenant's been affected, you can't increase rent during the protected period. So you can't even do a rent increase right now. All the tenant has to say is, I was affected, and then they can fine you for retaliatory issues up to $2,500 per month for each occurrence. So for each month you did a rent increase, they could fine you $2,500. To me, it's not worth it. I'm going to wait until I can. Now, remember, we have municipalities that have extended tenant protections. That would be the County of Los Angeles, the County of San Diego, and the City of Los Angeles here locally. So for those, City of LA, they have 12 months of additional protections. Ouch. County of Los Angeles has 6 months of additional protections, and so does County of San Diego. So to answer your question as simply as I possibly can, I would tell you that the safest way for you to increase your rent is to wait till April Fool's Day. I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but I'd just rather have you err on the side of caution than make a mistake that's costly to you. In the event someone wanted to increase rents, I might consider that, but not on a rent increase notice, on a new month-to-month contract. Wink, wink. You hear me?
Yeah.
In other words, you didn't raise the rents. Technically, you entered into a new agreement entirely. Okay, so you might have a little loophole there. I definitely talk to your legal counsel and see what you can and can't do. Right now, COVID really has our hands tied. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'd rather be honest and forthcoming with you guys than have you call me and tell me you're in litigation for something that is unneeded. Okay.
Give me that fact again about San Diego. There's an additional six months
Okay,
or a year.
so let me say this, and please, it's a lot of moving parts with all these new bills that we got because of COVID. First, we had AB 3088, then we got Senate Bill 91. Now we have AB 0832. We just keep getting laws thrown at us. So basically, what they said in the last extension that they did is that cities and municipalities, meaning your city, your county, cannot come up with their own COVID rules like LA did, like San Diego did. And ironically, and this I just think is bureaucracy and bullshit at its finest, 2 weeks prior to the law passing, San Diego, it was about 3 weeks, San Diego County shut down all their evictions. They put a freeze on everything. They protected tenants because I think they had an idea this law was going to pass, and they knew that if they didn't have anything in place prior to the law, once the law passed, they couldn't add any new ones. Example, right now, the city of, and I'm just going to pick one, Riverside, okay, cannot have their own moratorium for offering tenant protections after the protected period's over. They missed the boat. So the only places that have it are the city of LA, which is 12 months, the county of Los Angeles, which is 6 months, and the county of San Diego, which is 6 months. If they had moratoriums in place prior to COVID, prior to Assembly Bill 832, I saw that, Val, thank you. I'll answer your questions, or I'll go back to them, or we can revisit them. As soon as 832 passed, they put in there that no more municipalities can make extensions or moratoriums regarding COVID payment. Basically, when they say it's done, except in San Diego, LA County, and LA City, which is the most restrictive. Did that answer that question, James?
Wow. Thank you. I didn't realize there was that many moving parts. I really didn't.
There's
Holy
so
mackerel.
many moving parts. It's not funny. And I'm going to tell all of you guys this, and I'll scream it at the top of my lungs. In the event you have a tenant that owes you money right now, go apply for the government bailout. We're paying for it anyway. Right? Oh, did you just realize that? Here's the reality of what's going on. Landlords need to prove they own the property. Okay, they're not in your financial business. They're not asking you how much money you make and all into your details for tax purposes. They want to make sure you own the property, you're the one applying, and probably that your taxes are current. That would be my guess. I mean, come on, it's the federal government. Okay, with that being said, the tenant is the one going under the microscope, not the landlord, just so we're square. Okay, so in the event your tenant doesn't qualify because they haven't been being honest, and you get a denial letter, that's what you need to evict them. You're welcome. If the city where you're applying filters you through, and an example, HDICLA is currently out of money. If they're out of money, screenshot that and use that to evict the tenant. Remember, we as landlords can't do an eviction even when we can, unless we can prove that we've tried to apply for the government's bailout money. And you guys, come on, we're paying for it anyway.
So what do you do, Patty, with tenants behind in rent right now? They paid half the month's rent and they're Section 8. They said they're going to pay on Friday. When I give them a notice, when I apply for the government grant, what do you recommend I do?
This is me talking to you, okay? To all of you. The ass end of this pandemic doesn't help us as landlords. If you're waiting for when you can file in small claims, stop. It's a lost cause. And I don't mean to be that blunt, but hear me out. Everybody is going to run to small claims court. It is going to get inundated. It is going to be a long, lengthy process. And then at the end of all of it, once you finally get your judgment, all your tenant has to do is file bankruptcy, and all of that goes away. if we as tax-paying citizens are already paying for this government program, why not go get some of our money back? We're the ones bleeding. So my opinion, I can't give you legal advice, is go after the government money. Go get it. Do you know and understand that once you apply and you have a registration number, or they don't call it a registration number, and I don't know if April's on here yet or not. I haven't seen her yet. So bear with me, you guys, but they give you a case number, okay, when you apply. If you take that, oh, case number, thank you. If you take that case number and you write a nice little letter to the tenant, and it should read something like this: I have gotten, dear tenant, I've gotten on the government program for COVID to help you repay your loss, your past due rent amount. I have applied for this. Here's the case number. We would like you to apply. You have 20 days. Send them the letter. Make sure you send it certified mail, encouraging them that the government is going to pay their past due rents throughout the whole pandemic period, 100% of them. 100% of the rent. All they have to do is apply. Well, here's a little loophole we got in AB 832, and it clearly states if a tenant fails to participate in the government program, you can evict them. So if you apply and you send them a letter telling them how they can apply and attach your case number so that they can log on and do it and yada, yada, if they don't apply within 20 days and provide you proof within 20 days, on day 21, you can start the eviction against them. And you guys, we're starting to get tools back so that we can, I'm choosing my word carefully, we can retain our investments. If this keeps going the way that it is, you guys, our pockets aren't big enough. We're going to lose our asses. Okay? We have to get back to business as normal as quickly as possible so that we can continue to function. We've been bleeding for 16 months. It's got to stop. This financial bailout is my biggest picture to see an end to the problem. Why? If we take the government's money, our tenant's going to be happy because they don't owe that back. Okay, paying attention? We're happy because we're no longer financially bleeding. Yeah. And life in general is back to business as normal starting October the 2nd. Okay, so if your tenant gets their back rent paid, just continually tell them, I'm just concerned about October. Just prepare for October. If we have tenants that haven't paid rent in 16 months, they're not going to be used to paying rent. And as nicely as I could say this, you guys, for the last 30 years, we've always said, oh, we'll just put you in legal. We'll just put you in legal. You need to know what you're signing up for. Have you guys been paying attention to your attorney? Have you been talking to them recently? Do you understand that 98% of all eviction cases filed are contested? 98%. Ouch. A contested case right now, they're lasting a year or longer. They're setting jury trial dates for a year from now. Ouch. We, the people, have lost our right to a speedy trial. Go after the government money. It's the best, easiest way I see a solution out of this. And in the beginning, I was like, oh, here comes the government. They're going to give us a bailout, blah, blah, blah. They're going to be in our business. Actually, they're in the tenant's business, not ours. They've done studies, and 49% of all the delinquent tenants in the state of California are being deceiving. They're lying. 49%. You guys, it's half. So it's a 50-50 shot whether your tenants BSing you or they seriously were impacted by the pandemic. I mean, come on, we've all been impacted in one way or another. And if you haven't been getting your rent paid to you, I'd say you've been a victim of the pandemic. See how that worked? All right, let me get on to some questions because I see a lot of them coming through. I want to raise the rent. Geraldo, you're funny. Does the government have too much control over what we charge for our properties? This is not right. I'm going to say this, and please pay attention. I never thought ever in a million years, because we're the land of the free, home of the brave, because of the brave, right? We're freedom fighters, right? That's us. I never thought in a million years that our government could come into my house, go into my safe, find my written rental contract between me and my tenant, and change when my rent is due. But they did. They have that kind of power, and they've proven that, and they will show their power at any given time. What we need to do is prepare. That's all we can do. We can brace for impact and prepare. That's all we can do. Okay. Now they're going to give us 100% of our last rents, not 80-20. That's gone. That's out the window. We're now at 100%. Take the money. I'm telling you, go after the money. Once October hits, you are not going to be able to even file an eviction until you've waited 20 days if you haven't already applied for the government's money. See how that worked? We have to apply as landlords. We have to apply in order to evict going forward. We have to apply in order to save our asset, okay? And the reality is, it's the tenant that benefits in every direction from it. But look at it this way. If you're trying to keep that landlord-tenant balance, right? And you just came out of left field and said, hey, we're going to apply for the government program and they're going to pay the 6 months you owe in full. That way, when October comes, you should be able to get back on your feet by then, right? That's what we're up against, you guys. Lots of changes. It's extremely difficult. They're very slow with sending the money. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. The government doesn't do anything fast, you guys. Come on. If they don't pay October 2021's rent, you can evict. Absolutely. But here's me talking to you, and we got to go let the puppy out. She's crying. I'm sorry. If you know it's going to take you a year in litigation, and this is just me talking out loud, okay? If it's going to take a year in litigation and you're going to end up paying $5,000 or more to your legal counsel, because let's face it, if we're doing a year in litigation, we're doing a jury trial. We'll just call it what it is, right? How much is that worth to you? You're going to lose a year of rent. Plus you're going to pay at least $5,000 to your legal counsel. So before we sign up, if you will, to put someone in legal, consider paying them cash for keys. We're going to see a lot more cash for keys things going on. If you are in the city of Los Angeles, they have in their moratorium, you cannot do cash for keys. You are being forced to utilize the legal system in LA. Everywhere else, we can still use cash for keys in California. With that being said, utilize that. If your rent's $2,000 a month, and you know that you're going to be in legal for a minimum of 12 months, you're losing how much? $24,000 plus $5,000 you're going to pay to your attorney. So now we're at $27,000. Doesn't it make sense from a business perspective to offer your tenant $10,000 to be gone in 30 days? Yeah, we don't want to give them money when they owe us money, but it is what it is. And for those of you that had someone that vacated during the pandemic and owes you money and you're waiting for November 1st to apply for the government or to sue them in small claims, stop. Go apply for the money. They are now paying us as landlords for any tenant that left during the pandemic and owes a balance of pandemic rent. You're welcome. Okay, apply for the money. If they no longer live there, apply for the money. If they still live there and they owe you money, apply for the money. I can't push it enough. And I'm so stay away from this program because of this, stay away from that program because of that. This program gets a little scary. This one's a little challenging. And here I am telling you, go get the government money. You guys, we're paying for it anyway. We pay taxes, right? So we are paying for that money. Don't you think it makes more sense to use that money to help us? instead of God knows what, you know? So just saying, please consider it. You're not going to be able to even do eviction for non-payment of rent going forward unless you prove that you've applied for the government money. So if they don't evict October 2021 rent and we received or will receive rent relief, we can evict them October 1st. September 30th is when the protected period ends. October 1st is when rent is due for October. Only October, you guys. That would be a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit, and you can serve that as soon as the 2nd, depending on when your rent is due on your rental contract. If you haven't not applied for the government bailout, you cannot. You have to wait 20 days before you can file the eviction for the non-payment of rent because you didn't apply for the government bailout. To raise the rent in LA City, we should wait until October of 2022. If you want to be completely and totally and utterly safe, absolutely. And here's one of the things that I'm trying to help you guys with. Yes, it could be extended. The state of emergency is automatically going to be extended at least 6 months after the protected period ends. And that's per our governor directly. God knows if he'll still be in office by then. But yes, HDICLA told you yesterday that the pandemic / state of emergency in LA is not over and it may be extended till after September 30th. That's not entirely true. Yes, Val, I think Governor Gruesome should hold targets at the shooting range. HDICLA that's what messed me up, told me that the pandemic / state of emergency. The pandemic and the state of emergency are two different things. It is definitely not over. State of emergency will be in effect for much longer than the pandemic protected period. The protected pandemic period ends on September 30th. The state of emergency is going to go 6 months past that. Per our governor, he's already signed the order. Whether or not they'll recall that order when they recall him, I don't know. But I'm telling you, they're going to be protected for a long time. A long time. And I'm going to say this to you guys as nicely as I possibly can. Please read between the lines, okay? Because I have to be careful what I say. Remember, I'm a real estate broker. Your attorney couldn't do any work for you for several months during the pandemic while the courts were closed. Remember, they didn't reopen until October 5th of 2020. Guys, remember this? Okay. It's also when commercial properties lost their protections. So 5 months, 6 months-ish, the courts were closed. Your legal counsel didn't make any money. I'm being honest with you. I even told you guys, keep them alive. We might need them someday. Have them do a notice for you here and there. We need to send them some money so that they can eat, so that they stay in business. Courts are open. Everything's being litigated. There is no case law. Until something gets case law, we don't know which way this is going to fall. Is it going to be in the benefit of the owner? Is it going to be in the benefit of the tenant? Blah, 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 blah. You also need to know that 90% of all the cases being heard right now are settling. That's right. You heard me. You're settling. In other words, I'll pay him $5,000. I just need him out. I've been dealing with this for over a year now. I'll give him 20 grand if they'll get out in 30 days. I'm just telling you, settlement is where all these cases are going. So far, we have no case law yet. I imagine that it'll take some time to get case law. Once we have case law, we'll know exactly what the rules are for the next pandemic. In the meantime, we need to err on the side of caution so that we don't have exposure that is compromising our asset. I mean, come on, you guys, we do not need to be in a case law case. Okay, case law cases And I'll give you an example for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about. Back in the 1970s, and I want to say it was 1978, maybe, you can go look it up. It's the Superior Court of California versus Green. Actually, it's Green versus the Superior Court of California because Green sued the court. This person back in the 70s went into court, got evicted for non-payment of rent. He turned around and he sued the court and he won. The tenant sued the court and he won. It's why we have habitability issues right now. It went all the way through case law. So non-locking windows or doors is a habitability issue. The tenant doesn't owe rent. Same thing with hot water. You guys with me? That's all because of the case law. It's because that one tenant sued the court for kicking them out for not paying their rent when their place was in shambles. It's why we have habitability. Okay, you guys with me? We don't have any case law through the pandemic period. Hasn't been long enough. Okay, so if you get sucked into a case law case, I'm going to tell you right now, you want no part of it. It's probably going to be litigated for at least 18 months and cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. So my question becomes, how much money are we going to spend to prove we're right? Yeah, think about that one all night, okay? It makes more sense, even though they haven't been paying us, even though they're a jerk, even though they won't even talk to us, it makes more sense to pay them to go away than it does to trust our legal system. We have lost our right to a speedy trial. It is not quick, okay? It is lengthy. We are currently getting lockouts. They are still going. I had one in Lake Elsinore locked out yesterday. Go Clifford, yes, got him out. So lockouts are going on. Things are happening. Things are moving forward. They're progressing as fast as the courts can go. But I'm telling you guys, they are severely backlogged. When you call your attorney, ask them, how long do you anticipate this case to go? And they probably won't give you an answer. I actually asked an attorney, and I won't say which one, in one of AGLA's live webinars. How long does a contested case take currently? And how long is an uncontested case? I'll tell you, this attorney is good because he danced all the way around the direct question, avoided it completely, and then moved on to the next question. They didn't work for several months during the pandemic, and now everything's heavily litigated because there's no case law. Where do attorneys make their money? In litigation. You with me? So they're going to tell you, yes, raise your rents. They weren't affected. They paid their rent on time. Go ahead. There's no case law. You guys get it yet? Are you paying attention? Your attorney wants you to get into litigation. They need to make up for those 5 months they weren't able to make any money. Is what I'm saying making sense to you guys? Is this clicking? Okay. Cash for keys. Yes, Newsom's got to go. Oh, we can raise the rent before April, or we can raise the rent before April 1st, or with effect form April 1st. I'm not sure what you're asking me, Jay. Ask a different way. Any party should get rid of Newsom. It's not just Trump supporters. Good grief. If you're a landlord, you should definitely want him out. Newsom's making it a nightmare for us. Just so you guys all know, the pandemic period was supposed to end at the end of June. July 1st, we were supposed to be able to go back to normal. And the only reason that I can come up with of why it was extended in July is so that tenants had 90 days to prepare for, oh, holy crap. And the reason I say that is they've gone 16 months without paying their flipping rent. And now all of a sudden they're going to have to start. Now is when we're going to see tenants vacating units, trying to avoid the landlords because they don't want to pay the money. Apply for the money from the government. They don't have to live there. Okay? Apply. It's their business that the government's getting in, not yours. They just want to make sure you own the property. They want to make sure no fraud's going on there. Got it? It's the tenant's bank statements they're going through with a fine tooth comb. Okay, apply for the money. You can't evict going forward unless you proved you applied for the funds, so do it. If the city you're in's out of money, screenshot that they're out of money. That's gonna save you later. Okay, trust me. You got to apply. All right. Anybody have any more questions? We've went 30 minutes and I really don't have any updates for you guys, honestly, other than please recall Governor Newsom. He's making this a nightmare for us. He's extending this for tenants. He's holding hands with tenants. I have a feeling that he's the one that notified San Diego of the new law that was going to come up. And that's why they had that moratorium where everything just froze. And when I say everything, I mean everything in San Diego froze. Lockouts, evictions, everything just stop. Came to a rolling halt. I think it's because Newsom tipped them off. Because it's kind of weird how they got a moratorium just a few weeks before the law changed. And then the best thing that I saw come out of this pandemic, and it made me go, are you kidding me? Is the Department of Fair Housing made homelessness a protected class. A week later, 1 week later, after Fair Housing notified the state that now homelessness is a protected class, we got AB 308. No, we got AB 832. I know it's a lot of numbers. Sorry, you guys. And I am blonde. So 832 came out. And I don't think that it should have. I think that we should have been back to business as normal at the end of June, starting on July 1st. And the only reason they did this is tenants were not ready. And there's the majority. I get it. We're the minority. I get it. But we have to work together as a team and remind our tenants business is normal starting October. We need to get them back circled. We need to round the wagons, if you will. And hear me out. This is me talking to you. We've had half of our population, if not more, of the nation, not of our state, of the whole country, that's been on unemployment since this pandemic's happened. They've been paid to stay at home. Some of them have made more money staying at home than working. We're going to have to incentivize them to go back to work, to get back to life, to get back to things as normal. What we're up against is a battle, folks. They made homelessness a protected class. I'm 99% sure because within the next 6 to 12 months, half of the state of California is going to be homeless. If we don't start applying for these government funds and keep that balance right, what I foresee happening is going to look a lot like 2007 and 2008. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at the real estate market crash. It inundated our courts. I, at the time, was a regional manager for a major property management company. And every week, and I mean it, every week, we would take on 40 new accounts and we'd lose 30. So we were still growing. Okay. But it only looked like I was bringing on new accounts and owners were losing their houses to foreclosure just as quick as I was bringing them on. Okay. It's gonna get worse before it gets better. We're gonna go back to concession wars. So be ready for that. It's not a matter of when, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Because when we cannot keep paying $22 for a 2x4. It cannot continue to go this way. The ceiling has to break. And if you talk to your lenders and your appraisers and your real estate mortgage companies and your brokers and your agents, they're all going to tell you a change is coming. Because it is. Sorry, puppy duty. She's probably going to crawl up my lap. Let me check and see if we have more questions. Just bear with me. Okay, come on, pup. Come on. Let's see, coming up. I watched the AGLA webinar with the lobbyists and they agreed that whatever would replace Newsom would be worse, as legislature is Democratic and would hold to reject every bill. This is a nightmare. I understand. When's the latest you can apply for the government money? They're going to run out of money. They already ran out of money in HDI CLA. Do it sooner rather than later. And I would say that you could apply all the way to the end of the pandemic period. My tenant answers to the COVID declarations and then sends them back, but he doesn't apply to the rent housing program. Is eviction possible? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I got to be careful how I say this, so I'm not giving you legal advice. Give me a minute. You want to apply for the government money, put your application number or case number in a letter to your tenant, explaining to them that per AB 832, told you that one's not sticking. The rules are sticking, just not the number. I'll get it though. Per 832, once a landlord applies, they have 20 days to apply once they've been notified. So this is your notification. You have 20 days to apply. Please contact me as soon as you have your case number and your application is completed. Period. Day 21, you don't have confirmation back? Contact your legal counsel. Chances are you're going to be able to do a 3-day notice to quit and start eviction. But remember, now you're back in the court system. Ooh. You guys all are hearing what I'm saying. It's like this giant freaking merry-go-round, right? And the only way I see to get off of it is to go after the government money. How many tenants are going to claim bankruptcy after this? And for those of us that professionally manage investment property, and I know there's a few of you out there, we're all saying the same things. Tenants are using all of the rent that they've been holding and taking that money and putting it on a down payment and buying. So for those of us that are interested in the real estate market in California, I highly suggest that now is a great time to sell, not buy. You don't want to buy in this market. People are entering the waiting room. Sorry, I'm letting people in. All right, let me see. I saw some more stuff come through. I hope they become landlords too. That would be funny. Has anyone received their money yet? Yes, it is taking quite some time, but it is starting to trickle in. Remember, if you have tenants that vacated during the pandemic that owe you pandemic rent, you can now apply for the funds. They don't have to still be living there, okay? They don't have to still be living there. That is the best. I think Newsom made some changes last minute because he knew he was going to get impeached. I mean, let's face it, he really screwed us landlords over. I think that's why, and I don't know that it was just him, okay? But I think that's why we got they have 20 days to apply for the money and then we can evict them. He had to give us something because this is ridiculous, you guys. And hear me talking to you, okay? If you get a printout saying the tenant's application was denied, go take that to eviction. Contact your attorney ASAP. Chances are you're going to go through that system a lot faster because how are they going to contest? How would an attorney argue in a court of law that a tenant didn't meet the requirements of the government bailout program? I don't think you're going to see contesting there is what I'm trying to tell you. What are they going to argue? I'm sorry, I bought 5 new cars during the pandemic and didn't pay my rent to my landlord. I don't know why. I don't qualify. You hear me? So I don't see a huge argument if they don't qualify for the government funds. And let's face it, we've already had this conversation, but we're going to have it again. 50%, actually it's 49% of all delinquent tenants are manipulating the system. That hurts us. We need to do something about it. Did we get a tool? Absolutely. They gave them 20 days to apply. We have to apply first, send them a letter. We just write it out. I applied. I need you to apply. You have 20 days to apply, period. Boom. Please send proof once you've provided them with an application. Please provide proof of you applying, whatever, don't care. Day 21, if they haven't applied yet, contact your attorney. We're seeing a lot of tenants moving out right about now, or starting to move out with rather large balances left behind. Those would be part of that 49% folks. They think they can tuck tail and run and that we're not going to catch them. And on another note, I have a huge battle going on in Beverly Hills in a rental. The rent's 12 grand a month. The tenant doesn't want to pay because of the pandemic, but they can. And the landlord doesn't want to pay them to go away because they know they're right and they owe them the rent. This goes back to my original question. How much money are we going to spend to prove that we're right? I can't say it enough, you guys. How much money are we going to spend to prove that we're right? I mean, I have somebody right now that's $170,000 in arrears. And right now they're in a pissing match of whose pockets are bigger. Just pay them to go away, get your property back, reboot, reload, start over. When we're part of the equation, we don't see things clearly. Okay? You've got to remember that. When we're in the hole, we can't see out of it. Goes for me too. It's part of being human. When you're in the equation, it's much more difficult to find a solution. Okay, let me see what else we got going on. I was approved a month ago, but haven't received funds. You were approved a month ago. It'll probably take 60 to 90 days to get paid. The government isn't fast. Think about your income tax refund. It doesn't come quickly. My lease expires in December and my landlord wants to move back into the home. Is this legal? If your lease expires in December, the protected period is then considered over. However, I don't know which county you're in. So that may make things a little bit more tricky. But yes, if the landlord's moving back into a house, that is a reason to terminate tenancy. Absolutely. San Diego. Have they served you with the notice? It would be a 60-day notice to terminate tenancy with their cause written on there that the landlord intends to occupy the premises. And that landlord's got to live in there for 3 years or the tenant can come back and get them. So you got to be careful with that one. I see something about raising rents. If we can raise rents on April 1st, do we give the 60-day rent increase notice on February 1st? No, I wouldn't even serve the notice until April 1st. Hear me out, okay? If the pandemic period ends as it's supposed to on September 30th, 6 months after would be April Fool's Day. If the tenant calls code enforcement or fair housing, we can't terminate tenancy for 6 months or it's considered retaliatory. What do you think a global pandemic is going to do? We haven't heard from fair housing yet, other than them adding homelessness as a protected class because they see what I see and it's about to come down. Okay, you with me? For LA County and San Diego County, you can't do anything until April 1st anyway, because there's additional protections with the moratoriums that were in place. LA City of LA, I should say it that way, has 12 months of protections. So it's just a better business practice to wait the 6 months. Again, there's no case law. So I can't encourage you enough. Err on the side of caution. You do not want to be dragged through the coals right now in a courtroom. It's expensive, it's costly, and it's time consuming. Okay. It's not going to do us any good if we go through a long, lengthy court battle And at the end of it, when we get possession, we lose the house to the bank. Okay, so I need you guys to start thinking outside of the building, not outside of the box. And here's a great example. We anticipate the real estate market to crash. I anticipate the whole damn economy to come crashing down because of the 2x4 example. You know, they're not $1.20 anymore. They're $22. A sheet of plywood, $80. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Okay. With that being said, if this all comes crashing down, we're going to see our courts even more inundated. Why? Because foreclosures are heard in an eviction courtroom, and so is the foreclosure eviction heard behind it. In the event that the real estate market crashes, the economy crashes, it's just going to keep coming back at us over and over and over again. You guys, we need to be strong. We need to think outside of the box. We need to think outside of the building. We need to not be putting things out there that would cause us to be pulled into litigation unwillingly. I have a home for sale coming soon. If I get the home in escrow, what are the next steps? Tenant's still in the home. Offer to pay him to get out. That is the quickest, fastest, easiest way to handle it. And for those of you that are thinking about doing this, can I please say something? Stop offering them $500. Would you move for $500? No, neither are they. I wouldn't move for $500. You wouldn't move for $500. It would only cover the cost of the moving van, let alone wherever you're going. Stop offering a small amount of money for them to get out. They're not going to go, and you're just going to get frustrated. Look at it this way. How much is your rent for 12 months? Add $5,000 on that. And that's the minimum that you're going to lose if you have to go through the legal system. So start somewhere in that number. Aim big, guys. We need them out, because as soon as we get them out, we can stop the bleeding and reboot and reload, right? Okay, just something to think about. Also, unless you're the owner of record, a licensed real estate broker, or a sales agent working under a broker, or an attorney, you can't do cash for keys. So if you want to send your sister over to negotiate a cash for keys contract because the tenants hate you, be careful, because now she's practicing real estate without a license. Technically, we don't want to put anybody in any kind of exposure. Okay, a cash for keys agreement is a real estate transaction. It must be done by a licensed agent, a licensed broker, an attorney, or the owner of record. Okay, for those of us that are on-site managers, you're able to do that because you have a broker up the chain from you. Okay, so don't panic. But for the rest of us, don't have your sister or your brother or your cousin go negotiate with the tenant. It's bad business practice. Okay, you're exposing them. Don't. It's not good. We don't need that. Nowhere to go. Exactly. Thank you, Val. There is nowhere to go. There are no rentals near my rentals. Cash for keys are useless, and it's sad. Here's the reality. There is nowhere to go in the entire state of California. But if you pay them enough money, they'll find a place. If somebody came to you, Val, right now, and I know this is a convoluted question, and said, I'll buy your house, whatever, I'll pay you $20,000 if you can move out in 30 days. Would you do it? Because I'll tell you right now, if somebody wanted to pay me, and well, hold on, let's go back a minute. Let's go back to litigation real quick, okay? If you're in court in LA County and you're in litigation and Basta's on the other side, or the Eviction Defense Network, I'll tell you right now what the first offer is to do a settlement agreement. You guys ready? Any guesses? Any guesses of what a settlement agreement is from Basta right now? Round one, first time. You're close, Val. They're starting at $150,000 in 6 months in the property. $150,000 and 6 months in the property. And I'll tell you, that's where they start negotiating. As it goes down and you become more desperate and they understand you don't have the pockets, they're settling at about 50 to 60 grand. 50 to 60 grand. So when you come and you offer $500 cash for keys and they laugh in your face, I'd laugh in your face too. You need to be at $5,000 or higher. You need them to go. You want to give them enough money that they can find somewhere to go. And come on, if you paid me $30,000, I'd go find somewhere to live. I'd be out in a second for 30 grand. You understanding now? Because nothing's worse than saying, I'm not paying them $20,000. Patty, you're ridiculous. I'm not going to offer them that. I'm going to go to court. Remember, how much are you going to pay to prove you're right? Because in court, after they've raked you over the coals for a year, they're going to try to settle with you for $150,000. Now I don't sound like a crackhead anymore, do I? Don't offer a small amount of money. If you wouldn't move for that amount of money, don't offer it to your tenant. It's insulting. Okay? For the right amount of money, they'll move in with friends, family, parents. They'll move out of the state. It's expensive to live here anyway. Okay, I'm just saying, please stop shooting yourself in the foot by offering them peanuts to get out of your house. Oh, 100,000 is what the property's worth, and they're going to want to go 150. I hear you. It's ludicrous what's happening. And for those of you that aren't aware, those nonprofit agencies that are representing your tenant for free, they're not as free as we all think they are. Do you know that they get 33.33% of any monies awarded to the tenant throughout the case? So if you pay your tenant $150,000 to get out, Fosta's going to keep 50 grand of that. Just saying. Okay. Pay attention. Pay attention. There's lots of moving parts to what's going on. I left a nasty review on Fosta's Yelp account. Say that you're a tenant. Sometimes it works better. Tell them how I don't know. I don't know. Yelp it up, you guys. Have a good time. I could teach you a little side trick about Yelp. You guys all paying attention? I know those Yelp reviews are so important to us. So when you have a tenant that's cussing you out and yelling at you and screaming and saying that they're going to give you a bad review, make sure that you tell them, please spell my name right. Don't forget to include my name. Make sure you mention me. You want that in there. Okay? It is against Yelp's terms and service to be derogatory to an employee of an establishment on their website. Got that? So if they mention you, the employee for the property management company, you can contact Yelp, send them their own terms of service and tell them that you want this removed. It's in violation of their terms and service. You're welcome. So just make sure, go ahead, you write whatever you need to, but make sure you put my name there. Make sure you spell my name right. Make sure, because if they individually name an individual, that's what's in violation of the terms and service. So they can talk all the crap they want to. They just can't mention anybody by name. If they mention somebody by name, you can have the review removed. I should get $1 for that one. Just $1. Just a hey, Patty, thanks. We're up against a lot, you guys. I mean, we've never had a pandemic before. And I can't encourage you enough to err on the side of caution. The retaliatory issues that are put in these bills are no joke. No joke. Okay. And now there's an anti-harassment law. You can't harass your tenant. Stop emailing them. Stop texting them. I know I've said it to you guys forever and a day. Let your notices talk for you. None of us need to be pulled into a harassment lawsuit. It's bullshit. Harassment. Pay your bills and clean your, I was going to say something bad. I stopped myself. pay your bills and wipe your own butt, okay? All right, does anybody else have anything for me or something specific we need to discuss? Because at this point, I'm just trying to keep you reiterated on what we already know about the changes in the Senate bills, what's happening, what's going on with our courts. And I can't tell you guys enough, 98% of every case is being contested. 2% are uncontested. 2%. Wow. Wow. Okay. 2% are uncontested. James, what are you asking me? How do you make money doing this? I have membership. Thank you for asking. You can sign up to be a member. That helps pay me. I can be a consultant for you. So if you're going through troubles, have some questions, you can always call me, hit me up a, hey, this is going on, that's going on. How do I deal with this? What's going on with that? I'm a real good answer person, a go-to person for your answers. And I don't have all your answers, but I find them out and get back to you or point you in the right direction. So it is kind of nice. Just so you guys know, next week, AGLA is doing a class, Prepare Yourself for Court. That's going to be me. I believe that's on our Wednesday with Widget Day. So I may be a little late to the meeting, but I will have my web guy get on so you guys can all log on and you can chit chat until I arrive. Not a problem. So just to give you guys the heads up on that, the AGLA class, Preparing Yourself for Court, should be rather interesting. Trying just to give you guys what you need to get ready for court, making sure you're not adding to it and getting yourself into trouble. Val says, call me later. I wrote a long email. This is a private message. I got you, girl. I got you all day long. No problem. I'll give you a call. Give me about 10 minutes. The puppy's sleeping currently. Thank God. She's psycho, just so you guys know. And tomorrow morning, I'm getting on an airplane with her at LAX and flying to New York. So wish me luck. The crazy things we do during pandemics, right? And remember, don't put monies on a dispo that were owed during COVID. You can't. Anna, let me see what you're asking. Doggy downers. They won't let me. I can't do anything to her. And you know what's funny? She just sleeps as soon as I get in the car. So I'm hoping she'll do that on the plane. If you send a letter to a resident to remind them of the lease terms regarding maintenance and alterations, is that considered harassment? Stop sending letters, Anna. I love you. Hear me out, okay? And I've been teaching this for a few years now, okay? In professional property management, as a regional manager, I can make this statement, so I'm fine with that. In professional property management, we do a lot of courtesy notices, okay? You better fix this or else we're gonna have to give you a notice. That's a threat. And you just put it in writing. No, it's not a threat. It's a courtesy notice. Read it again. If you don't do this, I'm going to have to serve you a notice. It's a threat. You can sugarcoat it. You can do whatever you need to do to it. That courtesy notice is a written threat. Stop using them. Can you go have a conversation with your tenant and tell them, hey, you need to take care of this or I'm going to have to serve you notice. I'm going to have to do my job. That's what I always say. Don't make me do my job. I don't want to do my job. That's just the way I handle it. The reality is stop communicating with them other than your written notices from the court. If you're texting them, be careful with that. It can backfire on you. Emails, same thing. I always tell people, type whatever you want. Tell them their wife's fat and their dog's ugly. Just don't hit send. That's my rule. But yeah, it can be very, very tricky and challenging at the same time. But I wouldn't, for a couple of years now, I've told people, stop sending courtesy notices. Quite frankly, it's a waste of paper. How many times do you send a courtesy notice and you have to send the actual notice after? Would you say it's more than half? Because my question then becomes, why are you wasting time and killing a tree for no reason? Work smarter, not harder. Okay. If we just serve the notice and we get pulled into court, we didn't do anything wrong, illegal. How could that be harassment? We're serving a court recognized document. When we take that courtesy notice, which is a letter, and it's a threat to them. If you read it, it is a threat. We're threatening that they better do this or we're going to serve the notice. Stop threatening them. Just serve the damn notice. If you serve the notice, you're doing your job. If you send them a courtesy warning, you're threatening them in writing. Make sense? Your courtesy notice doesn't speak, it speaks in absolutes, right? If you don't do this, this will happen. You will be evicted. You can be evicted. You're threatening them. Just serve the notice. Do your job. Save a tree. We don't get to say that very often. Usually I say kill a tree. Kill 5 of them. Get everything in paper. You want it all documented. All right, I hope that answered that one, Anna. I stopped using courtesy notices, honestly, about 8 years ago for that reason alone. Per the direction of fair housing. 8 years ago, I stopped doing courtesy notices because it's a threat and you gave it to them in writing. It's even worse. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, read your courtesy notice and make sure you're pissed off when you read it, because they're going to be pissed off because there's a note on their door. I only wrote what was on the lease as a reminder. Right, but did you tell them, hey, you're in violation of your contract, you need to switch this up, blah, blah, blah? I mean, what did you write? Hey, it gets a little tricky. And I've asked a million times to a million different attorneys, if you're serving a court recognized document or a notice, is that harassment? No, it's you doing your job. If I write them a letter, could that be harassment? It could be, depending on what's in the letter and how it's written. So why expose yourself to that? Just do your job. You want to give them a courtesy? Give them a verbal. Just saying. Without seeing what's being written, it's hard for me to answer that question. I know you quoted the lease clause, Anna, but what did you say? When you moved in here, you signed and agreed to do it this way, and right now you're not doing it that way. You need to do it the right way, or it's the or. I'm going to evict you. I'm going to proceed legal action. I'm going to contact the attorney. All of those are threats. You need to fix this. You're in violation of your lease, or what? It's the what that I'm worried about. Because you don't want to put in writing, you do this or you're going to be evicted. That's a threat. Is it the truth? Yes, but you're threatening them. Just serve the notice. That's the biggest threat you could ever do. It has better teeth. I just told her to read her rental agreement about something she was asking. Okay. I mean, you can do that too. I always try to answer their questions. A lot of times a written rental contract is written in terms they don't understand. Honestly, some of them we don't even understand. Somebody leave a message. I'm sorry, I do it too. Okay, Val, what are you asking me, darling? Yep, we'll hire Larry the leg breaker. I have so many things to tell you guys. I could go on here for hours. Like, here's one I'll throw at you. Out of all the delinquent tenants in the state of California, only somebody needs to press mute, please. Somebody who's ever trying to leave a voicemail message.
Yes, hi Jose, my name is Melanie, calling from PCH Properties. In 2017, you installed the washer dryer.
I muted her. I know how to do that now. Okay, sorry. I'm just trying to help you guys. We all do it. We're human. Don't get mad. Yeah, Anna, stop serving courtesy notices. It's bad. Don't do it. And I was gonna say something else and now I can't remember what it was. I got distracted. I don't remember. If somebody else remembers what I was about to say and you can get my little blonde brain and pull it out of me, please do that. Example of a tenant. I was going to give you an example of a tenant. Blonde. I don't remember. I don't remember. I'm sorry. Don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. Let me go back a couple things. Hire Larry the leg breaker. I love it. Oh, we're talking about tenants and them filing harassment. They passed a new anti-harassment law where tenants can sue landlords for harassment. That scares me. That's why I tell you guys, don't write anything, just serve them a notice. If you're serving a notice, you're doing your job. The second you open your mouth, that could be harassment. So stop opening your mouth, keep it closed. I do a lot of listening when I talk to tenants, and I used to do something like this. And for those of you that have known me for a few decades, you know that I stand in court with my hands behind my back and I pinch my finger. And this is me behind my back, reminding me to keep my mouth shut. Because sometimes we want to say, well, you can't do that. It's in your lease contract. And it just comes rolling right off our tongues. Stop it. Stop it. Use your documents to talk for you, not your mouth. Your mouth gets you sued. Documents, they get you sued too. But if they're spot on, how are you harassing them? You're doing your job. It scares me because one day I had a tenant that pissed me off. Oh, she made me mad. So I looked up the civil code and service of a notice because she told me not to put a 3-day notice to pay rent or quit on her door for everybody to see. It's not her neighborhood's business. So I wanted to see if there was a law about what size paper it could be printed on. There wasn't. This was several years ago, and you guys don't do this, okay? I did it because I was pissed off. I printed her 3-day notice on a 24x30 poster size in bright yellow and duct taped it to her front door. Don't do it, okay? Don't. It's a bad idea. Remember, you guys are here learning what not to do, not what to do. Oh, she was a piece of work. She was a piece of work, and she wanted to, oh, she told me she was a doctor and that I needed to understand that she sat on a pedestal higher than I did. Her words. Okay, watch me evict you, doctor. She wasn't a doctor. She's full of shit. Yeah, I got stories for days. How did you get rid of her? I actually evicted her in a court of law. And this case stands very true because it's the only court case I've ever lost. The only one. I evicted her in a court of law. She didn't bring up the poster. She didn't bring up the poster. She was smart. She consistently ran about 6 months behind. Landlord did not want me to evict. She let me play chase the rent for over a year, and I was sick of it. I was ready to give the house back just because if I'm working that hard, I'm not getting paid enough. Simply said. Okay. So I took her to court. In eviction, she got me on a technicality. First time ever I lost a case. And to have you lose on a technicality, it still pisses me off. So I evicted her, went to court. At the time, for those of us that run property management companies, we know at 5 o'clock on the 5th, we have a line all the way out the door wrapped around our building of people waiting in line to pay their rent so they get a rent receipt. the company that I worked for at the time had real estate sales agents coming over and helping writing the rent receipts to help the lines come through because they were insane. And the agent taking the rent was not a property manager, nor had she been trained. She was just writing a rent receipt, no fault of hers. She was actually became a really good friend of mine. She wrote for February's rent on the receipt, but it wasn't for February, it was for November. So when I got to court, I didn't know what was written on the receipt because I know better than to put what it's for on the receipt. So I didn't even think that somebody else would do that. But she brought in a rent receipt that said for February's rent. I had February on my 3-day, case dismissed, go home, start over. That's how easy that works. Ouch. So I turned and burned. I went right back to my office, served her a 3-day notice for all the rents she owed now, and she moved out in 3 days. Oh, she left the house destroyed. When I say destroyed, I actually called the homeowner from the living room in tears because I was so disgusted at the condition that that lady left that house. I've never seen anything that gross. I'm not very tall for those of you that have never met me before. I'm 4'8", no joke, okay? I'm not even 5 feet tall. I was thigh high in trash and debris throughout the entire house, thigh high. And for me, that's not saying a lot. For you guys, that would probably come up to your ankles and wouldn't be a big deal, but it was disgusting. I had to climb over piles of trash, debris, used feminine hygiene products, just disgusted. Okay. Yes, I took photos. Yes, I sued her in small claims. Yes, 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 yes. I showed the judge the photos of the crap she left behind. But yeah, it gets extremely frustrating very quickly when you have somebody that gets you on a technicality, on something stupid. It still pisses me off to this day. And that happened 5 years at the law firm. Yeah, maybe 12 years ago, if I had to guess, and it still makes me mad. I can tell you right now, I had who I had representing me. I had no attorney. I represented myself that day. Yeah, it was bad. I was mad. That's the one tenant. I wanted her out so bad. Ooh, she belittled me every chance she got. Not as good as the lady that sent me a letter and a photo of a rake and a hoe asking me if I knew how to use them and if I wanted to borrow hers to fix a neighboring property. So to stay humble, I printed out the picture of the rake and the hoe, and I still have it in a frame on my desk to remind me to stay humble. Because somebody's going to tell you to go use a rake and a hoe one day. All right. Thank you, Melanie. If you need anything else, let me know. You guys know how to hunt me down. All right. I'm going to get off of here if nobody has anything. Thank you guys for joining me. I didn't mean to ramble. I don't mean to do that. I try to give you guys factual information. But sometimes we ramble, let's face it. All right, you guys have a great week. I will see you Wednesday next week. Remember, we're going to be a little bit late. I'm going to have my web guy come on and get everybody in the room, at least so you know I'm coming. But I can't get out of those AGLA webinars as quickly as I'd like to. I know you guys are waiting, so I just try to hurry through the very end of that AGLA webinars. Thank you for being patient with me. I'll keep you posted. We'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. I think it's going to get a little bit more interesting with tenants here very quickly, especially as we move into the next couple months and their protected period ends. So I'll keep you posted. We'll let you know how things are going. Remember, the justice system right now is just us, not justice. It's just us. So before you go, let's throw them in legal, think about it, please. Ask your legal counsel what a contested case is taking to close right now and know that that's what you're signing up for. Because come on, 2% are uncontested, 2%. And it's because there's no case law. And out of all the cases that are going right now, they're all getting settled. they settle at some point. Through some point of the litigation, usually it's the third day of jury trial that a settlement comes about. It's not at the settlement conference. It's not at this. They do at least 3 days of jury trial before they start talking about a settlement. So keep that in mind. None of us need to be bleeding money. We need to be generating money, especially if the economy takes a dump as well as the real estate market. What's going to burst this bubble? I have no idea. Buckle up. We'll all find out. But please continue to err on the side of caution. Think about what you're doing. Senate Bill 91 gave us 2 pages of retaliatory issues and fines that could be issued to us. Keep those in mind. None of us need to be spending more money than we need to. And I know it sucks to pay somebody that's a jerk $10,000 to go away, but I don't want you to spend $20,000 just to prove you're right. That's all I'm trying to tell you guys.
Sure.
Hi,
I don't-
I saw a posting on apartments.com that you had a townhome for rent.
What city you are looking?
This is
Let
in
me find it.
10501 Warrington Circle.
I muted him. I figured out how to do it. You guys are all in trouble now. All right. If you guys need anything else, let me know. Have a great week, and I will see you next week from the East Coast. Are you canceling us? I'm not canceling anybody. I just muted. I could hear phone conversations. Somebody was calling about an apartment for rent, so I just muted it. You can unmute yourself, I think. All right, if you guys need anything else, hunt me down, find me, have a great week. I will see you next week from the East Coast. Fingers crossed, I fly tomorrow, yay. Yeah, don't know where I'll be. I should be in Pennsylvania. I might be in New York. We'll figure it out. All right, you guys have a great week. We'll talk soon. Bye.